Taking a look at the timeline for the system due in tomorrow morning. Here's what we can expect in the St. John's Metro and the Southern Shore, where the impacts arguably should be the most intense. So tomorrow morning we wake up, 7, 8 o'clock, probably not going to be snowing unless the forecast is horribly wrong. Looks like the snow will start lightly around 9, 10 a.m., really beginning to get more intense around midday and staying there through about 5, 6 in the evening, maybe a tad later. Snowfall rates during that time, roughly 1 to 3 centimeters per hour. It looks like after 6 p.m. the snowfall begins to ease off, and by midnight it's pretty well done. Going to be a little breezy to begin the day. Those winds pick up after 10, 11 o'clock, gusting as high as 50. It does look like the winds are going to gust as high as 80 from like 2, 3 p.m. through 6 or 7 p.m. and we'll see those winds ticking down once more. But it's kind of in this time frame here where if we're going to see some stormy conditions for a couple of hours, that's when it's going to be happening. So snow, blowing snow, reduced visibility, not going to be, the nicest of afternoons, even if we kind of end up on the lower end of the snowfall spectrum. But it's a quick mover, done with by midnight, and then we're cleaning up come Saturday morning. Ahead of it, Environment and Climate Change Canada has the blowing snow advisory for snow and wind for the Avalon Southwest, the Avalon North, and St. John's. Winter storm warning up for the Avalon Peninsula Southeast, mainly for mid-morning tomorrow into tomorrow evening. Satellite radar picture shows our area of low pressure taking shape well to our south. You can see the snow there in blue showing up just east of Cape Cod and much of southern New England. And this area of low pressure is going to kind of quickly race its way north and east overnight and going to be knocking on the door with its snow shield come tomorrow morning. Not so much around 6 a.m., but it looks like just thereafter. And by midday or so, the snow is falling for St. John's, falling down around Cape St. Mary's and Trapasty, potentially heavily, as our area of low pressure is still back to our southwest. The question is, once we get through midday, just how far west does the snow go, and how much do we see in the afternoon? Well, it looks like by 6 p.m., that snow may not make it across Trinity and Placentia Bays. But it is still snowing on the Avalon Peninsula by tomorrow evening. Going to wrap up after 6, 7 o'clock, and then we're cleaning up again come Saturday morning. So what are we looking at snowfall-wise from this area of low pressure as it rolls through? Well, as I mentioned before, this is not going to be a major winter storm. It's more like a nuisance. But it's going to be a nuisance for a little while tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Snowfall-wise, Clarenville down to the eastern side of the Conagra Peninsula, Trace, that's about it. Bonavista Vista Peninsula down to the Burin Peninsula, 2 to 5. And based on some current projections, that might be a little generous. Western half of the Avalon, 5 to 10. Eastern half, 10 to 20. That's what I'm going with for the time being. But remember, we talked about that high-end amount. If we see that, this is what ends up happening. Everything moves back to the west just a bit, and the eastern roughly slice of the Avalon will see 20 to 30 centimeters of snow. But again, that's not the most likely outcome. This is the most likely outcome, and we'll track the storm for you overnight and tomorrow morning, and I'll have an update for you tomorrow morning if needed. But this is what I'm thinking is a good bet with respect to the incoming snow and tomorrow's winter weather event. So eastern areas overnight, temperatures -3 to -6, except Clarenville -8 and Gander -15. Wind speeds are going to be light. For the day tomorrow, highs of -1 to -5 with the snow arriving on the Burin and Avalon peninsulas in the morning, and those winds picking up, gusting as high as 80 in the afternoon. Western half of the island overnight, -3 to -15 for the overnight lows. For your day tomorrow, highs of -1 to -5, with a few flurries trying to kick on for central and possibly along the west coast later in the day.